The news around the Battlefield 5 June update is getting more interesting by the day. Based on more data mined information from the last 48 hours, it's been unearthed that DICE might be working on a second map for the update. And apparently, it's a rework of the Provence map to support 64 players. And there's been a compiling of weapons and gadgets that are likely to make it into the update as well. And that's what we're going to talk about today in this video. To make sure you stay up to date with all the latest Battlefield news, then make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Remember, this is data mined information, so take it with a pinch of salt, but I will be covering the official information on the June update as and when DICE releases it. Okay then, first of all, the Provence map rework. According to data miner Temporal, a 64-player rework of the map might be coming with the June update. Now, Provence was one of the several 5v5 competitive maps slated to release for Battlefield 5, but when the 5v5 mode was cancelled in mid-2019, the map was converted to a small-scale game mode map for the main multiplayer. It ended up supporting Team Deathmatch and Squad Conquest, and it's actually one of the best small-scale maps available in Battlefield 5. Unfortunately, it's a rather forgotten map because it's only available on the smaller game modes, and they are less popular than the game modes like Conquest and Breakthrough, which support the 64-player all-out warfare combat that we expect from Battlefield games. Now, at the time that the maps were revealed, which was at Gamescom 2019, I commented that Provence, alongside Lofoten Islands, which was the other map released at the same time, they were good maps, but they didn't hit home as proper content for the game, and ultimately they were a disappointment because they only fulfilled a very small portion of the player base. I also commented that DICE could expand Provence out into the fields beyond the French countryside town that you end up playing in, perhaps bringing in the farmlands, the roadways and the buildings that you could see in the distance, and convert those into conquest flag points and make it a 64-player map in the future. Well, that appears to be exactly what they're doing. Discovered by Temporal, the entries into the data files MP_PROV-CQ and MP_PROV-BT, they were added with update 6.6 the other week, and it's certainly not hard to work out what those two entries could actually mean. PROV-CQ is the Conquest variant of the map, and PROV-BT is the Breakthrough variant. Now, seeing a Conquest variant of Provence, that is obviously pretty cool, but you could say it's the mode that you'd expect DICE to support if they were going to rework the map and expand it beyond its original size. But Breakthrough, that is a bit of a surprise to me. A map that supports Breakthrough, it needs to have a play area that can support a linear push from left to right, or right to left, as the case may be. I think you need at least 3 sectors, in my opinion, to make the round last for a normal amount of time and to give the attackers and defenders time to try different options. So if the references are indeed pointing out that Breakthrough will be supported on Provence, then the map will have had to have been adapted in such a way that sectors can be laid across the play space, really opening things up from the way that the map currently sits. And I believe Provence is the smallest map currently in Battlefield 5. To support Breakthrough, it would need to be much, much bigger. Now, I know some people will be saying down there in the comments that this isn't a new map, this isn't new content, and therefore DICE isn't really doing the game justice with its final update. Well, I'd actually argue that for a lot of the player population of Battlefield 5, Provence is a new map, and there will be plenty of people who've never played it before because right now it's locked into those smaller game modes. Many players might not have ever matchmaked into some of those game modes and they just stick to Conquest, so the map will have never come up in a rotation for them. So for those players, if indeed this adaptation does arrive with the June update, Provence on Conquest will be a brand new map alongside Libya, which is the other map so far the only confirmed piece of content coming in the June update. I do 100% agree that this won't be newly created content, and that DICE would be adapting already existing content, but at this stage of the game's life, its final update, and the word that it will get no more support beyond this, a rework of Provence to support Conquest and Breakthrough, providing new gameplay opportunities, that's something I'll take 100%. And being brutally honest, I think this kind of work is what DICE should have been doing all the way through 2019 to really drive home the message that Battlefield 5 was a live service game, taking already existing maps and adapting them, reworking different areas to make them better, or to theme them in a certain way for a particular battle once you move forward in time. These map changes and adaptations to improve the overall piece of content. That to me sounds much more like a live service that I could get behind, rather than receiving these over-stylized elite soldiers, taking away core game modes, and then adding them back in to create this false sense of hype, and handing out rank tier skips each week. Map changes could have been a really core part of Battlefield 5's live service. There are certainly many maps in the game to this day that could have done with a bit of a rework. I'm looking at you, Hamada. So perhaps for the future, looking forward to Battlefield 6, DICE might consider map changes to be a more core part of their live service plans. We already know Battlefield 6 will get a live service. Regardless though, for Battlefield 5, it seems that Provence then might join Libya and become this pair of maps for the final update. I guess we'll find out more when DICE officially reveals what the June update will contain in the next couple of weeks. And then we should talk about another important part of the June update, the weapons and gadgets that we're potentially getting. Temple Yal has once again compiled a list from his data mining travels, and all of these weapons and gadgets I'm about to talk about, they arrived, in his words, with update 6.6 as complete. This means they either already had, or they were updated to include, assignment and dog tag data. So the first one is the M1941 Johnson rifle. This is a weapon I covered on the channel about a month or so ago. It was a rival to the M1 Garand, and it was adopted in much smaller numbers after losing out to the M1. Then there's the Shogun, a shotgun first seen in the This Is Battlefield 5 trailer back in mid-2018, so nearly 2 years ago, and then it was never seen again. The rumour is it was supposedly moved across to the 5v5 competitive mode, but since that was then cancelled, it's now been moved back, and it's finally in a finished state. The M3 infrared sniper carbine, we spoke about this one previously in our last Battlefield 5 video. It's a semi-automatic rifle for the recon class, and it features a very primitive infrared scope on the top of it. Then there's the K31 43 bolt action rifle, a Swiss weapon built with an insight switcher. I think that's how you say it. It gives you the option of iron sights or a 3x optic, and it's built into the gun, so you can switch between the two. Previously, this switching wasn't working properly, but apparently now it is working properly, so this might arrive in the June update. The well gun, again, like the Shogun, has been in the files for some time, and it was in a pre-launch trailer as well. And then the Shoshar, which again we spoke about in the previous video and has just become the biggest meme of all in Battlefield 5. We also have 3 sidearms here, the PPK suppressed, and the M1911 suppressed. And I'm assuming here the suppressed versions will have slightly different statistics to warrant their inclusion in the game. And then for gadgets, we have the Shape Charge, which was available in single player for the longest time, and is basically the Battlefield 1 Limpet mine. The Kampfpistole, which is a German anti-personnel launcher, and then the Doppelschuss, a double-barrel flare gun that can sticky flares onto environmental objects and different vehicles. Now, there are a few other weapons that aren't included in this list, like the M1917 Enfield rifle, the Patchett SMG, and the Lanchester SMG, but they weren't included because they've been complete for quite a while, and they simply hadn't changed that much from the first time round. That being said, if all of these weapons and gadgets do arrive in the final update, then it's going to be a really bittersweet moment. It'll be one of the larger content drops that Battlefield 5 will have ever gotten during its life cycle, but it will also be the last content drop that the game ever gets. So right now, that's as much as we know unofficially about the June update, or Update 7.0, as it will likely be named. As we move closer to the end of May, I'm hoping that DICE will come out with a bit more official information about what we can expect from Battlefield 5's final update, but right now we don't know anything for certain, apart from the fact that there will be at least one new map, and that's called Libya. That was confirmed in the blog post when DICE announced support for the game was being stopped. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel in the coming weeks for more Battlefield 5 coverage, of course, of news about the June update, and then proper videos on weapons and maps that we might get in the June update as well. But a big thanks for watching today. Leave me a rating and a comment, it is always appreciated, and I'll catch you all in the next one.